he spent the 20s, his whole entire 20s, he spent it as a Marxist. So he was heavily influenced by Karl Marx and his socialist ideologies. So, what's your thoughts on that?
It related to black people?
Well, it related to philosophy.
Philosophy?
Period. What do you think?
It's a philosophy that Marxism is basically for the people. There's no government control. The people have more of a say-so in the running of the government.
You feel like, but I mean, what was a Marxist country? I can't.
Russia.
Russia.
Yeah.
The people didn't have no say. Really.
People
like
really,
Stalin.
Yeah.
Was a Marxist.
Yeah. The people really.
Like it's supposed to be equality across the board,
right.
But they don't really get to say what they want.
Yeah. It's more.
So it's a slippery.
Government more has control.
Yeah, but everybody is equally on board.
Yeah, government has the
control over resources.
The resources, but they give it to the people. You don't have to. I don't think you have to pay certain money. You don't have to pay for medical.
Right, stuff is subsidized for you. So, what are your thoughts on that way of life?
I think it's good. To the point. I mean, if it's fair for everybody to get those, to get medical and dental or whatever, and this and that,
Okay.
I really don't know too much about the Marxist stuff too much. I never really studied that too much.
But I know the Black Panther Party that's on your shirt. They heavily leaned on those ideologies.
Yeah,
too,
they
right?
believed on self-sufficiency, self-help, do for self,
and do it for their community,
right? And do it for the community.
Yeah.
So they offered free breakfast programs, free lunch programs, programs of reading and everything like that. So they did a lot of social things. The Black Panthers has been known for just saying that they was a militant black group and everything like that, because they believed in the right to bear arms.
Right.
And so they believed in protecting their community, which you should. You should protect your own, be able to protect your community,
right?
And your people,
right? So at this time where he's having those ideas, this is 1950 because he was born 1930.
Yeah,
so
around 50. Yeah,
yeah, like 50s, 50 to 60. He was thinking socialism. And that's ironic because around that time, this is post World War II.
Right.
So he watched his country that he grew up in. If he was born in 1930 through
which he was through, he came through Jim Crow.
Yeah.
Jim Crow lasted from 1877, I believe, to 1964, something like that. I'm not sure of the.
Right,
but he started around the 1800s.
So he came from black codes and all the Jim Crow stuff,
right.
And he started leaning.
He was
to
a
foreign
child
policy.
during that time,
Yeah, so he started leaning heavily on foreign policies, like Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini. Like he was looking at their ideology for whatever reason and saying, I identify with this and I believe in this. Which is very anti-American at the time because we go into war with those ideologies.
Right.
America's a capitalistic society and it's supposed to be a democracy. So he was a revolutionary at one point in time. Yeah. But now he's
sort of like how Al Sharpton was. Al Sharpton was out there in the grassroots for the people. Yeah. And now he's sided with the elitists. With the elitists and
with the agenda. So
with the agenda.
So why do you think that is? Or what happened?
Because a lot of them get discouraged and they feel like it's easier to be accepted by the dominant society, and they don't want to really fight for our people anymore. Really, they want to just go along to get along.
Get along.
Yeah, and I'm getting a check. I got my degrees. I can do speaking, so I don't really have to go through all the rigmarole of what the grassroots has to deal with. Grassroots movements.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I just don't get where he comes and draws these lines where he goes from, okay, we should have equitable exchange, because I think that's what he was leaning to Karl Marx ideologies for, was because he see his people going through Jim Crow, so he's probably thinking in his mind, no, we should have equitable exchange, that the government helps us.
Yeah, but then you got to understand with the whole thing of slavery, the Constitution was not designed for black people. We were considered as one third humans.
Yeah.
1/5 humans. So they didn't even really consider us as being human beings. So the Constitution was actually not wrote for black people. It was wrote for white America.
Yeah. White
But,
American males.
but then as time went on, they amended certain things. They said you have the 14th, 15th Amendment, in the Constitution. It says about black people, but it's not really, it wasn't really designed for that.
Right. At all.
Because we were considered as slaves.
Yeah.
You got to understand, when the Constitution was written, they was slavery in 1776.
Yeah, so it's like we're a casualty, kind of like we're kind of stuck in the middle.
It's just like now, when you talk about the voting right and the civil rights laws, it's supposed to be renewed every 25 years. Why aren't black people just citizens? Why we have
every 25?
Every 25 years.
I didn't know that.
Since 1964, when the Civil Rights and Voting Act was amended, was made law. It's supposed to be renewed every 25 years. Why must it be renewed every 25 years when we're supposed to be citizens of this country? Why should we have to have a law renewed every year for us? So those things that makes me see that how they look at us in this country. And under every president, this is what the boule class of people be pushing. Oh, that's why they push being voting, because they say, listen, we don't vote, we won't have this, we won't have the voting laws. We need our voting laws and all that. Voting hasn't changed anything for black people, because before we was able to vote, our ancestors have fought for their rights and empowered their own selves. Voting never empowered us. Voting to me, what it has done from the 64 Civil Rights Act, Voting Act, until now has not helped black people greatly. Yeah, you got the right to vote, but half of us just vote Democrat.
Yeah,
we don't vote. We don't vote cross party lines. We don't vote based on what policies is beneficial to us. Every other group votes for policies that benefit their group.
So
black people are the only ones that vote straight Democrat.
Now I gotta ask the question, right? It's not the voting system's fault, is it, or is it just our behavior?
It's our behavior. It's not. Yeah. It's not nobody's putting a gun to your head and say that you have to vote Democrat.
Right.
We chose to vote for the Democratic Party because we scared of, because the Republicans is not going to help us. But Republicans are good for black people who own businesses. You get tax breaks and everything. The Democrat Party wants to keep us voting Democrat because they want us to be issue programs. They want to give us programs.
Right.
Oh, we'll give you educational programs. We'll give you social programs and all that. Social programs don't bring black empowerment. It doesn't make us free and make us independent for ourselves.
So what's about when you say like the Tulsa Massacre, where blacks were doing for themselves and they did amazing things, but there was no program in place to protect them?
No, we didn't have no we didn't come up. We did it. We got it from the mud. Our ancestors got it from the mud. We built our own cities and towns, schools, and everything ourselves. We were self-sufficient. And this is the reason why Tulsa was destroyed, because when those World War I soldiers came back, white soldiers saw that how the black people were living in there, they got jealous and destroyed it. And this is not only in Tulsa, but all throughout the country. There was like over 100 Black Wall Streets.
Mm-hmm.
So we were always, our ancestors were always self-sufficient. We took care of ourselves. We didn't depend on no program, no welfare and all that. The programs that came along under Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was back in the late 30s after during the Depression time. You know, to kind of stabilize the country.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right? The new
deal. So the new deal, whatever how they call it. Yeah. So, but before then, we didn't depend on no program. We didn't have no programs. We did it ourselves.
But then it came back to bite us. Why?
Like, it came to bite us because we got dependent on these programs, mm-hmm. and the dominant class said, "Well, listen, this will keep them from being self-sufficient and building their own businesses and doing for themselves." Mm-hmm. And this is a way where we can control them. Yeah. We'll say, "Hey, listen, if you want to be on this program, you got to have a certain income. You can't work a certain job. You got to be a part of this program if you want to get food stamps and welfare and any kind of assistance."
So we stand right now in a better position to take advantage and build, but we're brainwashed now to be.
Yeah, we're brainwashed and hoodwinked and lied to believe that, you know, you got to understand, you have a generation of people who are on welfare to this day, mm-hmm. which was part of a welfare program.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. That's
so when you start talking to them about if the government right now says we're going to take away welfare and all this, they wouldn't know what to do. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to eat this and that?" Because they're dependent on these people to feed them and clothe them and do everything for them.
So now he's speaking roughly about the minimum wage, and what are your thoughts on minimum wage? Should there be a minimum wage? Because he's right now speaking against it.
I think that a man should get a fair wage for a fair days of work. You know, he should not be working at a job where he can't be able to pay his bill and take care of his family. So I don't believe in the minimum wage, really. I think that you should get
a living wage.
A living wage based on what you do and how the economy is. You know, if rents are going up, your checks, your wage should kind of match or compensate. You know, be able to be comparison. Excuse me, I want to use the word comparison to what the economy is doing, how the economy is doing. So, no, minimum wage is, and the minimum wage when I was a kid was $5, $5.15. It went up a few years, almost 20 years later to $7.15.
Yeah.
I think
now
that's what
like
it is
$7.25 now.
$7.25 or whatever, and this and that.
Yeah.
Who can live off that?
Nobody. Let me Google and make sure it's that's the minimum wage in Georgia, $7.25 an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
But
that's throughout all the country, in New York or wherever you go.
No, it's not. New York got a higher minimum wage.
No, they don't.
Come on.
Google that.
Let me make sure. New York minimum wage in New York. $15
now.
Yeah, as a 2021.
It wasn't always $15.
I know it wasn't always. Nothing was always what it is. But currently, they $15. They get more, and out upstate and stuff like that, it's different. It's $13.20. Mm-hmm. But they still make more than Georgia. That would be too hard to live.
But in New York, it wasn't always that way.
Mm-hmm. See, so Dr. Thomas Sowell is talking about, he's like, there should be no minimum wage. There should be no livable wage. Those are his thoughts. He went from being a Marxist and a person to give back and economic equality and economic anonymity across the board to where now he's like, no, you don't get that. You have to earn equally across whatever your skill provides. That's what you should have.
Yeah, if you live in a fair and just society that will pay people based on their skill and everything like that. But because of racism, white supremacy, they're not. It's not. We don't live in a fair, just society.
I see. What
you know,
yeah.
You have other groups. You have the dominant society where in their group they make more than other person would make. So where's that fair?
Now, what about women and men? The wealth disparities or income disparity. What are your thoughts?
If it
on
was
that?
up to me, I think men and women should get paid the same amount. If a woman's doing what a man's job, she should get paid what a man makes. She should not be getting less because she's a woman. You know, that's not equality. That's not. If she's doing the same job that I'm doing, she should get paid the same amount of money.
Yeah. He is going in on minimum wage. This guy is crazy. I'm gonna edit these clips together so you guys could all take a look. And I'm sitting here just chewing on these ideas. I like to hear different ideas that I may not agree with.
Right.
But I like to get to the bottom of things and see what makes sense.
Right. And you got to understand, the government started a minimum wage thing. They started that.
Yeah.
To keep people at a certain economical level.
When I went back home to Africa in 2022, it was there's no set minimum wage, of course. This Africa is kind of, Liberia specifically, is kind of like get in where you fit in. But it's a standard that if you walk up to anybody and you want a day laborer, $5 is the standard rate for day labor. Like, so, but it's not written in sand anywhere.
Okay. Is it $5 a day or
Yeah.
$5 an hour?
Day.
Oh, okay.
Day. That's too much money in back home. $5 US a day, that's the standard days of work back there.
Okay.
So people can agree.
How much is that in Liberian money?
I can't quite remember right now off the top of my head. But people kind of sort of yes or no, you know, they go about it like that. The government is never going to step in and say, no, you should pay this person more or you should pay this person less. It's up to that. Each individual has to agree to the terms that he wants to agree to.
You're talking about the employer.
Yeah.
People who have
you know
the
how
business.
here in America, if you have a business and say you making sandwiches or whatever, you're paying somebody $6 an hour. The government will crack down on you, say, hey man, you can't pay him $6 an hour. That's illegal.
Right.
Yeah, that's illegal here.
Oh, okay.
But in Africa, you could get away with that.
Oh,
You could pay somebody $3 a day if they agree to work too.
If they agree to it.
What are your thoughts on something like that? Is that manipulation? Or is that just the free market working?
I don't really agree with that. I think if you gonna pay me, I'm not gonna work for $3 a day. You know,
If the standard is $5,
right? $5. I'm not gonna work for $5 a day, all day, depending upon what you got me doing.
No,
to.
but that's the standard in the country. Like
Okay.
that's like the standard going rate. So that's like say here in America you make a 50K.
Well, I mean, if
that's the
if
standard.
that $5 a day is gonna help feed my family and pay my bills.
You're
I
middle
don't know.
class. You're middle class at $5 a day.
Oh, so that's middle class.
Yeah, you're a normal person.
Okay.
But I'm saying now,
so a poor person might be making less than that.
yeah.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
saying now that in Africa, Liberia, they might be somebody who's trying to finagle and make a deal and say, nah, man, let me give you $4 instead of the standard $5.
Right.
What are your
But you
thoughts
don't have-
on that?
you
They-
don't have
to agree.
You don't have to agree to it.
But
Right.
the government is so lax that they'll allow you to
Allow
make
you
your
to
own
do it.
decisions.
Well, I
Do you
mean,
feel like that's morally right? Is that morally wrong? And does the government have the right to step into people's private business and say, oh, no, you should pay them this?
Well, I mean, if they're paying, if it depends on if the government is funding that business,
Which it's not.
which is not. So the government don't really have no say so.
No say so. Okay. So you kind of got a libertarian mindset where the government should have little to no say so in your business.
Right.
Are
on
you
certain
kinda leaning
things.
on that?
I mean, I don't believe that they should have total control of everything that you do. I believe within the guidelines of the government things. based on how I pay taxes and everything like that.
Yeah.
But as far as me running my business, I should be that if I'm an independent owner of a business, I should be able to run my business within the guidelines of, if the government have certain guidelines, as long as I'm running my business within those government guidelines, then I should be not bothered with it.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. So you're saying free market should choose. If you somehow went back to Liberia and convinced 10 people to work for you for $3 a day, that's all good, because you're not breaking any laws in the country of Liberia. You're not breaking any laws, and that's
No,
fine.
I'm not breaking any laws, but I have to. I mean, I don't know what comparison to the American dollar, $5 of American money would be compared to Liberian
I'm telling you
money.
the comparison. If an average Black American makes $45K a year, average Liberian American makes $5 a day. So he's middle class at $5.
Okay.
But you, being Mr. Gales, go back and open a business where you decide to pay people $3 instead of $5. You're paying them $3. So you're paying them less. But they're agreeing for whatever reason to work for you. Is that morally right? Is that wrong? Like,
well, I mean, on a business thing, is morally right to be.
Yeah, on business is okay.
But a human sense, I mean, I'm taking advantage. I'm taking advantage of those people. On a business thing, yes, it's saving me money. That's $2 more that I don't have to pay you.
Yeah.
So on a business sense, yeah, okay. If I'm acting as a businessman, yes. But if I'm talking about being fair and equal, then that's not fair, because I should be able to pay them what the amount is, what their labor is worth.
So what do you think about government involvement in that conversation?
Well, I mean,
should that be a governmental exchange, or is that between you and your employees?
Well, I believe that if I don't know if the government doesn't have certain guidelines. If the government says
they don't have no guidelines.
Oh, they have no guidelines.
In Liberia,
then
they have no guidelines.
Then okay, then it's just between me and my employee.
Okay, so you don't feel like, and if America was to adopt that same rule, you'll be okay with that, where there is no standard wage. It's just you either say yes or you say no.
Well, I mean, in America, you have to, because some places pay $8 an hour, some pay $12 an hour, some pay
but
$20.
there's a bottom line that you can't pay less than.
Right, you can't pay less than what the minimum wage.
Yeah,
which would
so
be.
I'm saying, if America was to be like Liberia and say, "Hey, man, you can either agree or disagree," would you be okay with that?
I think it's an individual thing sometimes. I mean, it depends on who you are. What you have to do. I have worked myself for $7.25. You know,
me too.
Since when I came to Georgia, you know, so and it was work. I did it because I had to do it.
Yeah,
I didn't have a $15 or $10 or $20 job put in my face at that particular time.
Right. So you took.
Now, if I had a $10 job, I would have took the $7.25. I would have took the $10.
Easy, simple as that. Good math,
right?
Right.
You know.
Okay. I'm just trying to see where his philosophy is coming from, because he's saying a lot of things where it's like, why do you feel like the government shouldn't step in and prevent these things? You know, because I'm gonna edit all of this together so it makes more sense to the audience. But like, why would a black man in America want the government to not safeguard manipulation, financial manipulation and abuse? Because we've been taken advantage of. Like you said, your family has a history of sharecropping, and they've been taken advantage of because they did janky stuff.
Right.
It was like, I would want to see guidelines put in place for our people.
Right, for our people.
To make sure that we not
because
taken
we're
care
the
of.
ones always being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
You know?
So I'm just confused as to how somebody from the Harlem Renaissance era, the 1930 Great Depression, can say, "Oh, nah, it's all good." Everybody
because
do their thing.
Because he has achieved a certain level of education, a certain income, so he's not really considering himself as a grassroots working people. He don't. That's what I say. He doesn't speak for the grassroots working people. You know, he speaks for the elitists and people who are in his.
Around him.
Yeah, in his arena of education or whatever he does.
I mean, I don't so much a lot of times compare myself to the average grassroots working person either, because I have ambitions that are going to take me higher than that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know like what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
Like that's
right.
not cool.
I mean, I'm not gonna just
You know?
because of my ambition and desire. I'm just gonna literally just take advantage of another man just because I know
because I can.
I can. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that maybe because my moral fibers or my integrity
Won't allow it.
Right, won't allow me to do that. I don't think it's right. You know, I'm not. You know.
This has been a beautiful sit down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this all together. I think this is gonna be pretty good. Give people some thought provoking conversation.
Right.
You know, because these are topics that affect everybody.
Yeah.
Like money affects everybody.
Money affects everybody.
And philosophy affects how we live our life. All right, OG. Any last words you want to say before we get out of here?
Just subscribe and comment. Leave your comment. We're gonna try to keep bringing content to y'all and just keep it moving. Support us. Support the content. Subscribe. We need our subscribership to go up. And if you like the content, you like what's being said, support us.
Of course.
We appreciate you. We love you. And God bless you.
To the next one.
And to the next time.
I just want y'all to see my face. I was behind the camera the whole time. Hey, man. We here, man. We back at it like a crack addict, man. We ain't going nowhere, man. We hooked to the game, baby. You know why we hooked to the game? We hooked to the game because we the best at the game. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
Like, share, subscribe to Rollo TV. We'll be back in another 6 days. We ain't stopping, baby.
Peace.
Peace.
Wow.